Okay, yeah. So, welcome everyone. Good evening, Nigeria. We are here again for another very lively chat, Instagram chat with a very talented girl that goes by the name Bola Coca. So she's trying to connect now. Oh, okay,
Okay,
great.
can
So,
you?
yes, fantastic. So we are on now. So
I'm,
I'd like to
I hope
welcome
I'm
you.
not frozen.
No, you're not frozen. You're fine. You're
Okay,
fine.
okay,
It's a bit
uh,
bad, but we just roll. So welcome,
okay.
Bola.
Thank you. Good evening, Prof. Okay, 7 p.m. here, but
Exactly.
so I'll say good
Well,
afternoon. I think it's two o'clock there.
yeah, yes. I'm actually broadcasting from Kentucky. Um, well,
Okay,
now I'd like to start by introducing Bolatito Puddicombe, who is a textile entrepreneur and the creative director and founder of Bola Coca Ashoebi Ventures, which was started in 2008 as a National Youth Service Corps member in Jigawa State, Nigeria. In 2012, she founded or she became established as a pioneer online fabric shopping platform for Ashwebi at parties and events. And she's worked with over 500 Ashwebi clients in Nigeria and the diaspora. Wow, that is great. She has also spent the
okay,
last 5 years researching African textile designs, fabric history, production processes, centers, history, etc., through her signature and trademark known as Fabricana. Her online community also involves a growth initiative to help others start and run their online fabric business. That is amazing. To support them with entry and mentoring, she has demonstrated expertise in using technology to build an online fabric business, Bola Coca. And this is a one-stop digital fabric platform built to support traditional brick and mortar fabric stores hosts. And she hosts their inventory online using e-commerce skills with minimal technical expertise. And she's a graduate of chemical engineering and married living in Lagos. So I'd like to welcome you again, Bola.
thank you, Prof. Thank you for the
Yeah.
opportunity. I'm very honored to be doing this. Thank you for counting me worthy
Oh, you are
to
worthy.
be on this master class.
You're also very knowledgeable, and it's such a great pleasure to have you on this show. And also to tell
Thank
the
you, man.
audience that you actually came to learn how to do textile, batik, tie and dye, Andre Leko, in my center in Surulere, Lagos. And I
Yes,
told you, once a student, always a student. So you continue to come back.
yes.
So I'd
Very,
like
yes.
to, we have quite a number of people who have signed up. The usual
Okay.
Danny, Afro Stardust. We have Caroline McAntony, Waka, Fola Jimmy London is also a very established fashion designer based in London, and Idu Olisa.
Great.
So more people joining. Thank you very much for being here. But I want to start by asking you,
Thank you, man.
how did this interest in textiles, how did it became coming from the background of chemical engineering?
Well, once again, thank you very much. It's a huge honor. I went to serve in the north. I was posted to Jigawa State. I think we're just two in the Faculty of Engineering then who were posted to Jigawa for that particular stream. So off to Jigawa, my mom tried to do her best to get me to, what are you going to do all the way there? I mean, let's look for how to change it to Lagos. And I said, no, let 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 nature take its course. And when I got there, to my surprise as well, when I got to my PPA after camp, they told me that I'll be resuming twice a week as a mathematics teacher. I was posted to a school, and I was like, how would I be doing with the rest of the days? So I started looking for alternatives. I tried to work at a bank, and it didn't work. I tried everything, but somehow, you know, I stumbled on textile market. In fact, I'd just like to run that story a bit. I had gone for a bank interview. You know, I was very sure I would get the job. It was just to formalize the process, but there was just one requirement, and the MD said he's really sorry that he will not be able to take me. I cried, but he saw that I was so emotionally broken. I said, I traveled 45 minutes from Jigawa to Kano, you know, to just pick up my acceptance that I badly needed to put my time to use, because I could not envisage, you know, having just 2 work days. What would I be doing with the rest of the 5 in Jigawa State? So the interviewer gave me some money to just compensate me, to say, okay, you know, youth copper, go back for your transport going back. So as I was going downstairs, suddenly I remembered that somebody said there's one market in Kano. So I just asked the security man, is there a market here, you know, where they sell fabrics? And he said, that's right in front of you. Kano has high walls, you know, so it's very easy to miss some things if you're just passing by. And I said, it was just 5 minutes away from me. So I entered with my money, with the money that the man had given me. I picked up 2 fabrics and I went back. Jigawa was cut out of Kano, so it was just like 45 minutes drive without traffic, 45 minutes drive back to Dutse, where I was staying. So I bought those fabrics, and when I got back, my friends came to greet me, you know, to say hello. I said, are you selling these fabrics? They are so nice. I said, yes, I'm selling them. I said, and they bought them instantly. I said, hey, really? Okay. I saved my 2 months alawi. Alawi then was 9.7. Federal government alawi. So I saved 2 months. I did everything. I went back to Kano and I bought more fabrics, and I came back. In fact, everybody knew me in Kano as Yalaje. I had so much to do that even my primary assignment, where I had to go for 2 days, I was trying to catch up again, because I had become so engrossed in it. And that was really when I had my first stint with textile. You know, I used to go travel every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, I would go travel to Kano, buy all sorts. So people knew me. People used to come to where I used to stay as a copper. A lot of my friends, offer, I think she's even on this chat. You know, she would be the first to come and say, Bola, when you come back, make sure you call me first. You know, so she was my steady customer. She introduced me to a lot of people. By the end of my service year, I think I was one of the last people to leave Jigawa, because I was trying to close up my business transactions. One of the indigenous said, why don't you open a shop? Hey, you're really, you know, you can. I said, let me just go back to Lagos. I just want to go back. My mind was just Lagos. So that was how I started, really. That was how I engaged. That was my first engagement with textile business. I just stumbled on it out of a necessity to use my time, you know, to use my time to the best, put my time to the best use, really.
Fantastic. So as a chemical engineer, is there an interface with textile? And I know that your training, your schooling, and some of the gaps that also existed in the curriculum.
Yes. In the curriculum for chemical engineering,
and the fact that there was so much emphasis on crude oil.
Yes. Chemical engineering is process engineering, converting raw materials to products. Really, that's what it is. But in school, we focused heavily on crude oil, and it was what we dwelt on. And I think I only remember that one person did something around textile. Textile was not what was spoken about. I only realized that textile technology was a chemical engineering process after I started the business of textiles, because I was trying to do more beyond buying and selling at some point. So I started seeing the connection that actually textile technology is a chemical engineering process. So I was thinking, why didn't we focus on this in school too? Why was it just crude oil, petroleum? In fact, many of my classmates were looking forward to working in the mobiles, the chevrons, the shells of this world. But when I came out of school, I was not interested in working in any of those places. I just don't know why. Even though that was one of my motivators, one of what motivated me to study chemical engineering. By the time I was done after 5 years, I was not interested in working in an oil company. So I thought that chemical engineering was just cut off from my life until I came to the textile industry and I realized, wow, this is also part of chemical engineering. So why didn't we touch on it? Why didn't the curriculum also cover or emphasize on this? What were the problems that what problems did they have with this? What was the issue? So I started doing a lot of research myself in the manufacturing process. But that was after I had done buying and selling of textiles to a large degree, and I was asking myself questions about Nigeria's textile industry.
Very interesting. We're going back to Kano now, and we have a question from Mary Adogo, who's connected from the US. And she says, how do the textile markets in Kano differ from those in southwest Nigeria? Were you familiar with the Kano indigo dyeing pits?
Then I was not familiar. That was back in 2008-2009. I didn't know about the dyeing pits. What I focused on then was buying and selling. So Kano has very large markets. It's the same thing, the same kinds of textile you find in the north, in the markets, that you also find that's the same way the markets operate in Lagos, even though they vary in terms of design, which is as a result of the kinds of taste, because Kano caters to the northern market, the northern space. Yes, clientele. Okay. So of course they'll get products along those lines. The southeast western markets too will get products along the lines of their clientele. But it's basically the same thing. Kano is importing fabrics, and Lagos too is an importation thing. It's an importation market. Wow. That's what I can say. But I didn't know about the dyeing pit back then. If I knew and had moved further, I probably would have visited the dyeing pit. However, I still intend to go to Kano.
Definitely. Okay. Now, I'm very interested in your interest in Asoebi. For those who do not know what Asoebi is about it, I know over 500 clients, not just within Nigeria, but outside of Nigeria as well. This is amazing. And I think you want to talk about this business of...
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for that, Prof. So I decided to focus on Asoebi when I came back to Lagos from my service here. When I came back, it was just to get a job, and before I got a job in advertising, I was out of job for a while. So again, the whole thing of what can I do while I'm seeking for a job? What can I do? I remembered that I had a business before. When I was leaving the north, I didn't have the intention to continue the business in Nigeria, in Lagos. So it was out of what can I do? And then I started thinking of the business I had before. So I opened it up again. But I decided to look at how I can serve the Lagos market. That's when I realized that it's better to focus. For me, it would be better for me to focus on Asoebi, because that's what Lagos people are known for when it comes to using fabrics. I didn't find that in the north, but in Lagos, after my research and study, I realized that Asoebi was a big industry, and that's when I started the Asoebi thing.
I like what you wrote on your website about, to your clients. Once you pick your colors and your fabric and you tell your friends, leave the rest to us. That's quite
exactly. So yes, so whilst I said I'd like to focus on Asoebi, I didn't have the capital, because the traditional way of doing business, fabric business, is rent a shop, stock it up. I didn't have that capital. And I didn't want that to stop me. The little that I have, to find a way to get this thing rolling. And how can I work on the stocking? How can I tailor it? Because the kind of person I am, I don't like to do conventional. I like to go, if everybody's going that route, that's exactly the route I don't want to go. I want to see if there is another route that would also lead me to that same point, maybe to adventure or discover something new. So I started looking for within my network. I told my friends, oh, if you have somebody that wants to that wants to hold a party, let them know that I can sort out their ashebi. Because the traditional way of sorting ashebi, the person goes to the market, the stress of going to the market, then you tie down your funds. If you want a particular fabric, if it's available, or if they're going to bring it in for you, you have to deposit like 50% or 70% of what you require. If you're not able to exhaust what you have bought, that is your own business. The fabric remains with you. Then the whole stress, how do you get these fabrics across? So I leveraged on that gap I saw with the traditional stores to build my own business using technology.
Fantastic. We're going to get to that point, but I also want to I don't want to miss out on this. There's a very proud customer, Bola Coca customer here since 2000.
Since 2000, Jigawa.
Also on this platform who are also acknowledging the great work you are doing, providing
clothing. Thank you.
Congratulations. Now go to the very impressive part of your CV, which has to do with the establishment of the first online fabric platform in Nigeria, which was founded in 2011, which goes against the brick and mortar kind of shops that we have. So I wanted you to talk more about this platform and the fact, maybe for those who are thinking about setting up a textile shop or something, what the benefits are of having it online. Because you are doing this, you did this long before COVID. So you actually have abilities that existed in moving yourself.
Okay. So because I knew that I didn't have the capital for a brick and mortar store, and I didn't have the capital for stocking, and then fabrics are also very finicky. You can stock this fabric today, and before you know it, another design has come that supersedes that. So when customers visit the shop, they want that new design. What happens to the old design that you've invested to? Those are all the things I looked at, and I said, oh, it's better to look for a method of communicating to customers using technology. So then I had BlackBerry, and the tools I had were my BlackBerry. I started with BlackBerry phones and Facebook. And that's how I used to communicate with a lot of people. And for me, the people I was targeting were people that were not willing to go into the Lagos market stress. Lagos market is associated with a lot of stress, so people do not want to do that. Meanwhile, I now built my supply chain with those who had brick and mortar stores. I developed relationship with them, and so many of the brick and mortar stores know me, and they know that, okay, when I come, this is how I'd like to do my business. I protect everything that I know that my clients want with that brick and mortar store. So I had a relationship with as many of those stores before I eventually started bringing in things directly from China myself. So technology helps me to do that. And then I also invested in building a brand that people could trust, a brand that people could rely on. Wherever you are in the world, if you're in the US, in Europe, anywhere, you can be sure that the party that you're coming to do in Nigeria, I've sorted out their schedule for you. Everybody has their fabrics, whatever you want, 5 years, 10 years. So that was the headache I was sorting out for a lot of people. And then when they come, They was like, thank you, the headache. So, that was my selling point. And then I had built, so that was what I built on. So this person that I did for would refer. So many of the people that I served, I didn't see them. In fact, sometimes I tell people that if I pass by you, if I don't tell you I'm Bola Coca, you won't know that I'm Bola Coca. And then when I talk to people on the funny part is when I talk to people on the phone, they think I'm one fat woman. They don't know I'm one cylinder. So it worked perfectly. It was a process that worked perfectly for me. And what my own is just, I give you the assurance. And then the disadvantages that come. For example, there was an asoebi I handled. And before they found me, they had gone ahead to order some scarves. That's the familiar segogele. And after their events, they still had about 100 scarves left. What are they going to do with that? And, so that they said that, if only they had met me, because there's a way and process to ensure that there is no waste. So I was helping my customers curb waste that eventually ties down money, apart from the stress. So logistics, securing inventory, and ensuring that you only get what you need. You don't get excess, or you are not stuck, whereby people still need more of that asoebi, and the person you bought from says it's finished. And that usually causes a lot of trouble if you're very familiar in the our asoebi culture. If somebody doesn't have that fabric, it's a problem. The person may end up not even attending the party. So asoebi is a culture that has grown. So I leveraged on the fact that we hold it very dear and used that as a premise for my business. So that's what I can say with respect for that.
I think you've done very well with that. Asoebi culture is quite interesting, but there are a lot of pains that go with asoebi as well. You mentioned a few of them. And the fact that if you're not in that group cloth, sometimes you go to the party, people say, when they're serving food, they just go past you if you're not wearing the cloth. Or when they're giving out their gifts. So
they go over your head.
Yeah, they go back. So you must buy that cloth. So you must patronize so that you are served rice at the party. Anyway, what really interested me when I met you was your interest in textiles. It wasn't just about selling. No, you are somebody who is invested in learning about the heritage, the culture of cloth, of clothing, of textile, and you've gone an extra mile in even going to Akwete to meet the women weavers. I think you want to tell us about the amazing work you've done with those weavers.
I got to that stage because I started asking questions, and I started asking the questions when I realized I used to think Ankara was made in Nigeria, because I started my asoebi business with Ankara when Ankara used to be very popular in asoebi use, even at weddings. Before we started embracing lace a lot. Lace had now become very cheap. So when on one of my Ankara journeys, I realized that that Ankara was not in Nigeria. I was very confused. I said, "You mean everything is imported?" They said they import everything. So it really broke my heart.
Wow, we're losing network now.
That we know is Adire and Ashoki. But I also discovered that apart from the weaving culture that we have in the Southwest, there's also a weaving culture in the Southeast. Even the Northerners weave. And I was wondering that, so why are these clothes not popular? Why are they not in circulation? Why don't we know about them? So I started discovering a lot. There's agriculture that is in Delta, the Akwete from the Southwest, even though Akwete now is also getting threatened. But right now, even all of this weaving, all of these fabrics are dependent on importation of one item, and that's thread. We no longer produce thread. initially the weavers, Ashoke weavers, Akwete weavers would produce their own thread locally. But now that process has been removed and they depend on thread for importation, for their work rather, imported thread for their work, for most of their work. So I would like to give an example. There was a time we needed to get a lemon fabric, lemon Ashoke, for example, for a party. The weavers were ready to weave. So it was just for them to get the lemon threads in the market. We could not find lemon. We could not find lemon thread in the market. But we found lemon China Ashoke in the market. And we said, we can't find lemon thread, but finding lemon, but we still intensified. Lemon thread never showed up. Perhaps there was not enough demand for lemon, so the factories didn't make lemon, or perhaps they just decided, okay, if they're going to send lemon to the market, it would be in form of Ashoke, which China was trying to copy at that time. And so we couldn't fulfill that order for that customer. But the customer told us that they later went to the market to buy lemon thread, lemon Ashoke, and they found it. But they used it the first time. And after they used the Ashoke from China the first time, they couldn't use it again. It was useless. It had fallen apart.
Wow.
So those are some of the things. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I said that was a disposable Ashoke.
It was disposable Ashoke. Use once and discard. You know, so I started this journey, and that was what really sparked my interest in getting to know more about the textiles that we have within Nigeria, apart from the other parts of Africa too, that have their own textile, Kente in Ghana and all that. The Ethiopians too have their own, like now this is an Ethiopian fabric that I'm wearing. The Ethiopian people have their own weaving culture. They have every African country has a textile culture. So for me, it was about documenting that and seeing what I could do with it. And that was what sparked me to start my own made in Nigeria fabric brand through Fabricana. And so it was moving beyond buying and selling. Now I wanted to see how can I begin to intervene in this in my own little way.
Yeah, we have a comment from Idu Olisa. She says that she's very excited to hear that you went to Akwete, and she says every part of Nigeria has its traditional hand woven fabric. Definitely,
yes.
I mean, rich culture, rich nation, and rich textile traditions all over Nigeria. But we're going back again to Akwete. What is the marked difference between Akwete and Ashoke?
Yeah, for Akwete, all Akwete is woven on a vertical loom. The vertical loom is also wider. It stays on a wall, and the women can sit down. In the early days of weaving Akwete, their 4-year-old girls will sit with them while weaving. That's how many of them learned how to weave Akwete. And they weave, but and it's also the Akwete women have very intricate, beautiful designs. Beautiful designs of it. You hardly find them making any plain design, or they will make sure that right now Akwete women weave like they are weave to like George. If you know the George fabric that is imported from India, they are trying to match up their weaving to match up. They are trying to get their weaving to match up with the George fabric, which a lot of Southeastern women use. That's how intricate Akwete women are. Their designs are beautiful. They are very, very intricate. Very, very. They are masters of making intricate designs on woven fabric. For Ashoke, they weave on smaller looms, narrow looms, the ones that you have to join together for some. Ashoke, Okene fabric is also called Ashoke. But Okene women weave they weave like the Akwete women. Okene women and Akwete women weave the same way. I'm not sure Okene women make as much intricate details into their own design. But for Ashoke, it has evolved in so many ways, perhaps because the Southwest has popularized, the Asoebi culture has helped to popularize the use of Ashoke in ceremonies and in parties. So we have been able to find a lot of use for Ashoke. So there's Ashoke, you know, there's laser cut Ashoke, there is beaded Ashoke, the ones with stone. In fact, there's some Ashoke that you see when it's fully stoned, you don't believe that it is Ashoke. You know, there's a lot of improvements that the Ashoke has adopted, which is majorly because they've been trying to respond to the threats of several kinds of geles that were coming that were being imported then, like the damask, like the sego. So once the Ashoke weavers see a certain design in damask, they try to weave it. They were always responding to the threats. So I think that those are the things I can say about Ashoke and Akwete.
Okay. Well, the Ashoke is woven on the horizontal loom. Yeah.
The horizontal loom, yes.
And so we're also looking at this now because we know that we used to have we had a great production of Ashoke in the past. And you know the popular Ashoke, Sonyo, Etu, Alari.
Yeah.
Sonyo was woven from silk, wasn't it silk? So what are the
Sonyo
efforts
is from silk.
of silk? So what efforts have government done, you know, governments of maybe southwestern states to preserve this very rich culture of, you know, weaving of Ashoke?
Okay. Now, what I can say about silk is that the worms that gave us Sonyo then are extinct. They're no longer available as at now. In terms of silk again, the process of getting silk from the worms is sericulture. The only sericulture center now is in Ondo State. All other sericulture centers are no longer active. And even the sericulture center in Ondo State does not use the local worms because they don't have access to it. It's no longer is extinct. They can't get those worms again. Those worms that gave us that Sonyo, that original Sonyo, they no longer have access to it. Perhaps they may still be available in the thick forest. So they get their worms from India and they carry out the silk process for Sonyo. So the three types of Ashoke that were available, early Ashoke were Sonyo, Etu, and Alari. Etu was as a result of dyeing with the indigo plants to give that rich blue, which we also get in Adire. And then Alari was using, I think, camwood to get that color, but to get particular Alari color. But right now, Ashoke has moved on from that into a lot of more sophisticated colors. As you know, in Asoebi industry, there are a lot of sophisticated colors: sky blue, royal blue, deep brown. I've heard of cockroach brown. I've heard people say, okay,
Blue.
we have big, ma?
I said maybe even COVID blue now because we call
even COVID blue. You know, all sorts of past we have that color. All sorts of colors. We've become more sophisticated in our choice of colors, and you know, I don't know how if we're going to do that locally, how are we going to be able to respond in terms of colors? But you know, it's something that the Chinese people have studied, and when they are sending down, when we are producing the thread, they have a wide range of colors. So when we want to make Ashoke, if you want yolk yellow. That's the yellow inside egg, the color of the yolk in egg. You will get that color no matter how difficult the color is. You know, Ashoke will rise to that color, but now it's from imported thread. It's not the local process of getting yarns and the early colors anymore. So that's what I can say with respect to that.
Okay, so we're expecting questions from viewers, and I know that Idu Olisa said something about that she has a wide range, a wide collection of akwete. Some she inherited from her grandmother. Yes, we would like to look at those akwete sometime, maybe on this program.
Yes, so
I also think that, you know, we need to celebrate some of the royal fathers, like the Obi of Onitsha, His Royal Majesty, Agbokiti, who celebrates the Ofala festival. You need to go to Ofala and see those women, the women dressed in their woven fabric. It is incredible. It's beautiful. You know, all
excellent.
regal, you know, and the way they carry themselves. You say, yes, this is a celebration of textile culture. And I'm sure you'll be happy to look at that. But it is incredible. But we find that in the Southwest, people celebrate fabrics even much more in terms of the scale, the volume of requests because of this Ashwebi culture, you know. So we are hoping that this will catch on in many other parts, because for people like you who are, you know, doing business with textiles on a large scale, we have to have this culture to sustain that. You know what I mean? So I'm happy
Yes,
to hear
exactly. Yes, exactly. Our Ashwebi culture is what sustaining even the foreign industries. Sometimes when I want to import lace, the suppliers, the factory workers are reluctant to make a small number because they know we have the numbers. They make in thousands and they are not producing for their local consumption. They are producing for Africa, especially Nigeria, because they know we consume that much at once at the same time, everybody wearing the same fabric. So our Ashwebi culture is what is even fueling the international industries. That's what's fueling their production. Because if we don't have Ashwebi as a culture, we won't be importing as much, 1,000 yards of one design. It can only be that they need it for a party. So if we don't, now that there are no parties, you know, I'm talking to some of them now and they're saying there's no business. I said, how is business? They said that nobody's buying. Well, because there are no parties in this COVID era. So our parties is what's fueling their own production. If we don't have parties, they can't sell volume.
And that's so sad, because most of these fabrics, most of these yarns that are used to weave ashoke, even though they are done by the local craftsmen, they are imported. So you can imagine the amount of revenue that goes out of Nigeria, you know, because we don't have
There's a
local
lot.
market, local factories or
There's a lot.
industries. We'll come to that. But I want to take Mary's question. She said she's not sure. She heard you quite well. But did you say that the silk used to make ashoke originally came from Ondo State? Are there any other places in Nigeria where silk is produced or was produced?
There were other centers. There was, right now there is an Ekiti center, but it's not functional. To produce silk requires a lot of, it requires textile production. I'd like to think of textile production as a refinery where crude oil is being converted to petroleum. That's how intricate it is. So there are other centers, but Ondo is the only center that is still surviving. The Ondo Sericulture Center. That it's the only one that is still surviving, and that the Ondo State government is supporting.
You know, for me, you know, you are concerned about textiles. People are wearing textiles and all of that. They look beautiful at parties. But you know, this kind of sericulture center can actually be a tourist center where people can come to study how, you know, this is done. This was done in the past. Even though you have now modern techniques, you can have this as a center where you can actually teach people how to produce, you know,
exactly
these worms to make silk. So there's a lot that we can do, which we are not doing in Nigeria at the moment. And I think that we have to think about these possibilities. Now, there's also another question, but before we take that question, I think we need to look at one thing that kept recurring in other charts, and that's the story of cotton.
Okay.
We import. If you go to the markets, you are bound to see a lot of polyester fabrics, a lot of fabrics that even itch your skin. I don't wear, but when it's quite hot, it's very humid. And the only cloth that you can wear comfortably is cotton because your skin can breathe. But it is in very little supply in Nigeria. I don't know if there's any factory that produces them. And how do we move from this point of 100% importation? We import our dyes, we import our cotton for tie and dye batik, we import Ankara, we import lace, we import everything, we import madras.
Everything.
So I think as a chemical engineer, as someone that is knowledgeable and very interested in, sustainability of this tradition, I think you want to say something about it.
Yes, that has always been my headache. That has always been my headache. And we'll begin with fabrics. Fabrics begin from plants. Fabrics begin from plants. The cotton plants, we used to have cotton farms, large cotton farms. Any country that is heavily involved in textile production has a vibrant cotton farming culture. So it comes back to agriculture. By the time we start encouraging farmers to plant cotton, the government encourages and empowers people to plant cotton, then we can begin to look at the value chain of cotton, because 100% cotton begins from the farm. Then it goes to the ginnery. Ginning is like a refinery. If you go to a ginnery, the cotton has to be, the seed has to be separated from the lint to get the fiber that will now be carded, and then it will be spun into thread, yarns, fabric. There's even cotton seed lint oil. So many things can be gotten from cotton. Now, it is important that we put that in place. I know that Ogun State is trying to encourage cotton farming and attracting investors who will come and see how they are providing the facility, providing the land for cotton farming. And there are other places doing that. Also in Katsina, there's Funtua there. And I know a number of fashion designers get their fabrics from Funtua. And then for those that dye, they dye. Funtua has a ginnery. It also they produce cotton yarn, cotton thread, and cotton fabric. When I was speaking with one of their directors, he said that initially they used to mix their cotton with polyester because they wanted it to be quite affordable. But now he told me that polyester is even very expensive. That's the one that people refer to as nylon. It has become very expensive. So now what they do is they do 100% cotton. That's Funtua, but there used to be a lot of them. But now it's only Funtua I know that is surviving. There may be more. But we need to do more. The government needs to do more. It's an industry that needs heavy investment. And it used to be a high employer of labor. A lot of people used to work in textile industries. There was even a lace factory in Ijebu by Shockers, but that went closed down as a result of importation. It couldn't meet up. It couldn't stay competitive, and so they closed down. There's a lot of that that has gone on. We used to have a vibrant textile industry, but as being able to respond to competition, or those industries have not gone on well. I think we have about 4 or the last time I think about 4, 5, maybe 10 textile industries, but it's nothing compared to what we used to have. And in responding to what Nigeria needs now, we need more textile industries. If we are going to look in locally, we need to invest in those machinery. Right now, it's the foreign countries that are responding to the demand from Nigeria and Africa.
Oh yes, yeah, and they're making a lot of money from Nigeria in particular. I
A
know
lot.
these fabrics
A
that come
lot.
from Austria, they actually have a network of drivers who pick up Nigerians who go to Austria to buy lace. They have B&Bs that they stay in to buy their laces, and there's, they have this courier that takes them from those little hotels back to the of that. So there's a structure in place for this of Ashobi wearing in Nigeria, and these are materials people travel all the way to go bring into Nigeria. Anyway, so let's go over to some of the questions on the platform. We have Nama, who's asked Unama. Am I right with the pronunciation? I'm not sure. Anyway, she's asking, is there a possibility of reviving the culture of weaving in those places where they are almost going extinct?
Yeah, the possibilities are there, but the young people, or rather, are they ready to learn? Many of the weavers say that even their children are not interested in learning it. It's tasking. To weave is not easy. How many people are? So we need to, one of the things that we can do is to make it attractive. How can the skill be made attractive? The weaving skill.
Yeah, I met
a weaver. Encourage people.
I met a weaver in Xraying who would sit all day weaving, and when it stands up from the stool, you find that it's so glossy, as if you just vanished it, because he's been sitting on that for so long that his clothing has smoothened out the stool. And he said that children don't want to sit for that long anymore. You're not making.
They don't want to sit for that long. Initially, the Akwete women used to have their 4-year-old daughters sit down with them while they are weaving. That was how a lot of the Akwete weavers learned. But now, that is not happening anymore. Nobody is ready to sit down for that long to learn. They would rather go and do other things. So the skill needs to be made attractive as much as possible.
How do we make it more attractive? It's also another thing. How do you make it more attractive? Because this is the same story for all craft. When we get to pottery, you're going to hear about this. When we get to metal casting, you're going to hear about this. When you get to goldsmithing, you're going to hear about this as well. So we have to make it more attractive. How do we make it more attractive? That is actually the question.
Off the top of my head, we need to also look at putting the textiles into mainstream.
Okay.
For example, Akwete. People are, in using Akwete as an example, I'd like to say that initially, when I stumbled on Akwete, I was thinking of what are other things that I can do with this fabric, apart from using it as gele. And I thought of handbags, using them. So I worked with someone who makes handbags, lovely handbags. And we used the Akwete to make a lot of lovely handbags that people were able to sell them. We're able to sell those handbags. If we're able to put these fabrics into mainstream everyday clothing, the normal even if it's not every day, twice a week, making Akwete feature in what we wear would go a long way. It will increase the demand and skill. If it increases demand, it increases the request for skill. And if people know that if I weave this fabric, I sit down to weave this fabric and I'll make a certain amount of money, it would attract them. Perhaps they think that, it won't really be a great use of my time. But if there is demand for it, there will be requests. There will that if there is demand for it, that interest will come, because it will come with gratification as well. You will make money from it. If you see that you are making good money from it, because I know in the saying, there are some people that I've also met who have master's degree and they weave. They are weavers and they make good money from weaving. So if we can build on that momentum, the reason is the same way. Let's play out what is happening in China. There are a lot of Chinese textile factories that realize that if they produce so much, they will make so much money. That's why they tell you, oh, they can only make, for prints, they can only make, the minimum they can make is 6,000 yards. Because they know that if they make less than that, they won't make their return on that investment will be low. So they put they look the volume, because they know that we have volume. So if they're able to make that much, when they see that there's a lot of money, they see that there's a lot of money in it, and so they're doing it, they're committing to it. If we can project that here as well with our fabrics and showcase that this is worth your time, it is a skill that is not just, it shouldn't be just a hobby. It is something that can put good money in your pocket. I'm sure there will be people will start looking at it as a possible employment line.
Okay, that's great. It has to be commercially viable for them to get really interested and to sustain that interest.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. She's saying, I think that the people in the textile industry should start collaborating with farmers, technicians, etc.
You were frozen. I didn't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
What is the Idu is saying that I think that the people in the textile industry should start to look at collaborating with farmers and technicians, etc., to revamp our textile industry. Yes. And then we have someone saying, please grant me access to the video. The video will be uploaded on IGTV, and subsequently we're going to also have the video on our YouTube channel, which is Master Art Classes. You can also sign up on the Instagram page so that you can follow our programs. This is a build-up to the launch of our online classes in different aspects of arts and crafts, learning how to do particular things, arts that are going to extend, you're going to be able to learn on our website towards the end of the year. Then someone says here, can we make use of banana fiber for our textiles to solve the problem of textiles in Nigeria? This is a question for the scientists. You think you can attempt that?
I've seen them do that in other countries. The banana leaves, the leaves from banana plants.
That would be amazing, because we have a lot of banana, we have a lot of plantain. That would be so great. And Idu says she has thought yeah, Idu, we're going to get you on this program very soon, because I was very excited about the discussions we had during my exhibition. And then we have Tiwa, who's also just joining. Thank you very much for joining in. We are running out of time now. If it brings more money, they will probably do it, yeah? And then again, from cross, we have weaving is quite tedious. I feel the looms should be modernized and make them to be mechanically propelled, but retain the same quality or even better. That is our own view about, modernizing the processes and turning out lots of yardage. It's the same thing that we talked about when we discussed the issue of Adire. Do you want it rolled up like print? It doesn't take away from
exactly mechanize the handmade feel. When people see the Chinese ashoke now, people don't buy it. In fact, I think China has reduced the rate at which they try to infringe in the ashoke market, because people can tell the difference. People now prefer the handmade. They love the handmade and would rather buy the handmade. And besides, ashoke handmade has become even very cheap. At least you can get some for 2,500. You can get for 3,000.
Exactly.
So why would you want to contest in a market that is already responding heavily to the demands?
Okay, and I also think that we have more questions coming on. Someone says even pineapple fiber can be made into textile. Even pineapple derivatives have been used to make clothing. So there's a lot that one could
even
do.
raffia.
And raffia as well.
Raffia clothing.
So it is, in fact, the very first set of textiles that were excavated in the Boku area in the 9th century AD were bast fiber fabrics, which were excavated with the bronze finds. So that was actually the starting point, really, before we went into making them into clothing as we find, or fabrics as we find now. So that was the very,
Yes.
very first evidence of clothing being made in Nigeria. So there's a lot that we can do with the resources that we have in Nigeria. We only just have to think about how to make this serve us as in the local economy and also put it on the global plate. And I'm taking this as a last question because we're running out of time, to say that you talked about the laser cut ashoke, you talked about the beading of ashoke, the stoning of ashoke, and all that ashoke has gone through in response to people's taste. And I think you want to make mention of the work of Professor Gunshaye, who has done amazing work
Oh,
on.
exactly. Exactly. Professor Ogunshaye is she's a woman that, is after my own heart. She's always in my heart. The first time I spoke with her, I didn't know that she was in her late 80s. She's 94 now. We talk at least once in 2 weeks, and she has a huge collection of ashoke. She's very passionate and has written a book, 50 years of ashoke, on her collection and how ashoke has moved each decade, how ashoke has responded to threat in each decade, that it has been featuring in. And she has a lot of collection in that. Part of that collection, the physical collection of her own personal ashoke, is in the Olusegun Obasanjo Library in Abeokuta. She also has a part of her own ashoke collection in National Museum Alishinloye in Ibadan. She has written a book. I think she published the book late last year on 50 years of ashoke, that she's hoping that would help to respond to some of these things that we're talking about. She's hoping that the process of making ashoke will be introduced in our schools, and different curriculum from as early as primary school. And that's what she is really passionate about. That's what we talk about. We try to look for ways to address these problems within the ashoke. But she's such a lovely connoisseur and a collector of Nigerian ashoke over the years. I think that she has some equity as well. She's very passionate about ashoke.
Ogunshaye is
a
professor in Nigeria and a pioneering student at the University of Ibadan. So she's still alive and hale and hearty, so we can still speak with her if possible. We're running out of time, and I think that we're going to round up on this point and say thank you so much, Bola, for coming on the show.
Thank you,
and we have a distinguished professor of textiles coming on. So we look forward to tomorrow's discussion. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ma.
So
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Hello, Waka. Thank you.